Cheers, I do, buckaroos, and how the heck are you? I am Tom, the beer whisperer and the whiskey whisperer for today's episode of At the Pub, and it's the first one of 2024. So I wanted to have a special guest with me, Sid. Him and I are both are kind of amateur cocktail, amateur bartenders, I guess, if you will. So how you doing, Sid?
Doing great, Tom. What's
And
going
we were talking briefly beforehand, and you've got a signature cocktail you want to make.
Yeah. Now, those of you who know anything about cocktails will probably recognize this. It's a takeoff of a classic Cosmopolitan. But I was sort of in the mood at the same time to have a Long Island iced tea, so it kind of has that. So just think of those two things together.
So tell us what's in that cocktail.
I'm going to tell you here as I add it up. Now, some people measure precisely. I just kind of eyeball it.
Do what you got to do, man.
Start out with a little bit of vodka.
Now, what vodka are you using? Is it a particular brand you like, or?
It's nothing particular. This is just Smirnoff 100. You know.
Okay. Oh, you like Smirnoff 100? Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to taste a lot. Then you can either use just any kind of orange liqueur. I'm using just DeKuyper's Triple Sec. So again, nothing fancy, because again, this is going to be a cocktail that's mostly blended.
Mm-hmm.
If you do want to know, I'm putting them in about equal portion, roughly about a quarter ounce per, but adjust as you like. Now, this next one is kind of cool. This is rum by a distillery called 1832. It's up in Concordia, Missouri.
Oh, wow, okay.
Niece brought me that as a Christmas present, and it's pretty good stuff, actually. So, again, about a quarter ounce there. That was a bit hefty. It's a little more than a quarter ounce. And then just any kind of dry gin. I've got Sapphire, again, nothing fancy.
That makes sense, okay.
Wouldn't waste a really good one on a cocktail necessarily. Then, and I'm just pouring this all in a standard shaker, no ice. We finish it up with about a 2-ounce sweet and sour shot. And then just some good old cranberry juice, or in this case, cranberry pomegranate juice. Give it a double.
Nice. Okay.
Bit of that.
I buy that, or my wife, I should say, buys it for me. The cranberry black cherry. That's my favorite.
Yeah. And then
I was using that to make holiday cocktails. The cranberry black cherry. Yeah.
Yep. That's a good one. Now for this, I shake it with no ice for about 30 seconds or so. So I'll just count in my head if you want to talk for a minute.
All right. So Sid and I have known each other, I don't know, about a year or so. We met at a familiar watering hole. But we found we've had a lot of beer and cocktails in common. So I thought he'd be a great guest to start the new year, because we both have kind of a different perspective. I'm a little bit older than Sid, so. But we also have a lot of music in common, and we've talked about that too. So this show could drift into that at some point as well. So what you got going, Sid?
Well, so now I'm going to serve that up in a cocktail glass here. Just fill with ice.
Like a tall cocktail glass, right? Do you serve it over ice?
Yep.
Gotcha.
And it cools down surprisingly quickly, since you do fill it up with so much ice. I pack it.
Oh, there you go.
Now, if I did this right, by shaking without ice, I should have a real nice fizz on the top of it. So
all right, let's see what you got.
Pour it out there. And sometimes I have to dump off just a little. This makes just a little bit too much to fit in that glass. I put a little bit less ice in there, and then I get it.
There you go. Oh, look at that. Okay, well, I get it.
So when you shake it without the ice, that gives you that nice, creamy, rich foam.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful cocktail. There you go.
I dub this drink the Fizzy Sid, or you can call it a cranberry fizz. That way people actually know what it tastes like.
The Fizzy Sid. I like it.
There you go.
So take a drink and tell us about it, and I'll tell you what I'm drinking here.
Ah, nice. So, of course, it's got a lot of tart and tang because of the sweet and sour mix and the cranberry juice in there. It goes really good in the winter, which it's January right now.
And it is cold today in Southwest Missouri.
About 15, 17 degrees outside, something like that.
It's too cold to make me want to get out and do anything, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and so, you might wonder, why would you want this? Looks more like a summer drink that you'd be sipping on a beach, and you could absolutely do that. Or I think with the cranberry juice, that kind of hits that winter warmer type thing, like
it does, yeah,
or something. So it has a good flavor for that. It's not too sweet, and so it's usually popular with a wide variety of people. So anyway, I'm gonna drink a little more here. What do you got tonight or
So
today?
I decided to do a version of, oh, I've lost it here. A version of an old fashioned with oops, with I lost my train of thought for a second. With the Tiakida Hinterland. So what I've got is sort of a maple spice old fashioned going on.
Nice.
So this is a bourbon finished in maple barrel. So it's got a little hint of maple. So I made a simple syrup and I added some maple to it, but I used a whole allspice and some cinnamon, also some candied ginger to give it a little bit of a snap. And my garnish is an orange wheel and candied ginger. You may notice I'm a little bit different. I'm not. I serve most of my cocktails straight up, even though an old fashioned is typically served on the rocks. I've just got it. So I chilled it, and now I've just got it served straight up.
Yeah, nice.
Oh wow, that nose is nice.
Never tried a room temperature old fashioned before. I'll have to give that a go.
No, it's not room temp. It's not room temp. It's chilled, just like you would serve a Manhattan.
Sorry, I missed that part.
I serve it so straight up implies, but yeah. So I chill it over ice, give it a shake or a stir, and then and of course I had the glass already chilled as well. But yeah, you want it chilled, but I don't like serving it on ice because I don't like my drink to get watered down.
Fair enough. I usually don't let my drink last long enough to get watered down, but I hear
well, there you go. We found these candied ginger when we were at Trader Joe's a couple months back. They're nice. They're like little slivers of ginger where they're sugared. So they've got this nice flavor, but I've noticed when they sit in that cocktail, of course, that sugar dissolves, so that adds a little bit of extra sweetness. So when I add my simple syrup or the maple, if you will, I don't add as much because I know that sugar is going to dissolve in that cocktail.
Nice. Yeah, the simple syrup is really interesting. You can really change up the flavor in an old fashioned like that. A lot. I make mine with turbinado sugar, usually the sugar in the raw stuff. So gives
I
it a
use
nice.
turbinado or Demerara. Sometimes the Demerara is easier to find, but yes, always use a raw sugar. You get a cleaner, simple syrup.
Yeah, it just looks really nice too.
So. It does, yeah. You get well. I've had to explain it to a few folks because they're used to seeing that clear, simple syrup. So no, if you're using the raw sugar, it's going to give you a little bit of color.
Yep, it looks real nice. I mix mine up usually just 1 part sugar to 1 part water. Get it to where it barely boils with the water, then sugar, stir it up, and then I have these little miniature mason jars I keep mine in.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's perfect.
Usually, it'll last for a month or two. I've had stuff. There was a jar I forgot about one time. I have no idea when I made it. Just dug around the back of the fridge, and I was like, I took a look at it, looked good. Stuck my finger in it, took a taste, tasted good. So I was like, well, darn, I didn't ferment anything, but it still tastes.
Well, there you go. You never know.
Yeah, I kind of wish it had. Would have been good, I'll bet.
So I just posted a comment from a friend out in Indiana. Todd Wren says, cheers. Well, thanks, Todd.
Cheers.
Yeah, I do the same thing. My wife, so I do simple syrups for cocktails, but my wife has started to do some for tea. So now we've got kind of, just a while back or about a week ago or so, maybe she did like an orange vanilla meant for her teas, but I've been using it as a cocktail simple syrup.
That'd be interesting. Tea syrup.
Yeah. So I think she's got something going on. We'll start a line.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, mercy. So what do you got going on this cold Ozark Sunday or Saturday rather?
Saturday, yeah, that's all right. I tried to make it night earlier. It's I've got a gig I'm playing tonight. I play drums for my church's worship band, and we got youth retreat tonight. So
nice, very nice.
Played last night, going to play again tonight, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll stop by our favorite watering hole on the way home and see who's hanging out there. So Banter Beer is always good after a gig. So
yeah, that's kind of our favorite spot is Banter Brewing.
Yeah, it helps that you work there, but I think we'd probably hang out there even if you didn't work there.
Yeah, I mean, I was a customer for about a year and a half before I started working there. So, and I've got videos out when I was a customer, so my opinions on banter are well known even before. So you may say I'm a little biased, which is definitely possible, but I loved the beer even before I started working there.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I probably saw you around there, but it seems like about the time you started working there, I had started becoming more of a regular. I'd be there on a certain day at a certain time. Whereas
Yeah.
I just sort of randomly stop by whenever.
Friday was my day because I'm off Friday at my main gig. So I'd usually try to be there right about 1 or shortly thereafter so I could run into Jimmy and Peter because those guys were usually there right about at opening.
Yep.
So I didn't stay for, I didn't stay as long as those guys did. I usually left about 3.
Yeah.
I usually have about a 2-hour max, and then I'd head out. But yeah, I run into Jimmy and Peter. Yeah, I think I met you a little bit later. You're right.
Yeah. I think it was pretty much after you started working there, we met officially. I kind of had seen you
Yeah, I
around
think we knew of each other. Yeah.
knew of each other, but didn't really know each other. So yeah, it's kind of fun when someone goes around to the other side of the bar and starts serving beer instead of just sitting there sipping beer because we do get into a lot more there is a lot more conversation time since we're face to face instead of halfway down the bar from each other.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting for me because I'd worked for a brewery before, but in sales. This is the first time I've actually been a beer tender, so there was a bit of a learning curve. Sometimes it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, but I really enjoy it out there. It's fun to be behind the bar and being able to talk to everybody.
Yeah. Speaking of dogs and tricks, my dog is over there going nuts and rolling around on the floor. Now,
Oh no!
she finally got up.
You want to take him in a shot? You can bring him in.
She was just like on her back, Probably wanting the belly rub. And I'm like, hey, I'm working here. Or
I do want to kind of give a shout out to Sid here. I've been there once. Sid's got this beautiful home pup. It's absolutely amazing. He's got I don't know, they call them cocktail smokers, Sid? What's the official name for those that you have there?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I actually have that handy here.
So Sid made me a smoked old fashioned the one time I was over there, and it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I believe he used mesquite if I remember right.
Sounds right. I usually do mesquite or cherry wood, one of the two. But yeah, you just got your little hat here. It kind of looks like a inverted.
Says hi. Put that out there.
Put your wood in here. Set it on top of your glass. Set it on fire. The smoke just rolls in.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to do a smoke cocktail tonight. I wasn't sure, or tonight, so this afternoon.
I'll tell you what I will do. After I finish this one, if you don't mind, I'll switch it up and I will do one. I'll go ahead and smoke an old fashioned.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah.
That's a pretty
so
easy
so you and I have a love of beer, a love of whiskey, but we also have a love of music.
Yes.
Now, you're a drummer that you mentioned earlier. So tell us your earliest influences.
Okay, so we're reaching back into hallowed antiquity when I was a freshman in high school. I actually didn't know how to play drums until I started as a freshman. And I was really getting into Iron Maiden and Rush at the time. And just like, man, I'd really like to try that sometime. And that's kind of where it all started out. British metal and progressive rock, a little bit of funk. Play just about everything though.
I know you're a big Neil Peart fan.
Oh yeah, Neil's God rest his soul. He was probably the most influential person. I still use some of his techniques, even just when playing in church, which is interesting. You wouldn't think that you'd hear Rush-based drum riffs in church, but I try to throw them in every now and then.
Did you ever listen to any Keith Moon?
Oh, Mr. Moon, yes. Oh my gosh. So very briefly, I had a drum teacher for about 6 months. I'm pretty much self-taught. But he sat down one day. He's like, all right, now make sure you don't get too busy on the drums. And I'm like, what do you mean busy on the drums? He's like, come here, let me show you. So he played me 2 drummers. The one guy was from the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and his name is escapes right now. And the other guy was Keith Moon from The Who. And he's like, now these guys can do it. They can get away with it because what they're playing. But he's like, don't you do that. Don't Keith Moon, he's just he's all over the place. He's amazing.
What was interesting, if you listen to a lot of old Who stuff, the rhythm section is different because most rhythm section, your bass and your drums, are meant just to keep time. But the Who's rhythm section was almost the exact opposite. I mean, John Entwistle was doing bass lines like no rock bassist was doing at the time. And then, of course, you had Keith Moon, who was doing everything but keeping time. And I remember hearing an interview many years ago with Pete Townsend. He was talking about they were telling him that maybe we need to start turning down, Keith Moon and John Entwistle. So he says, no, you can't do that, because if you turn down Entwistle, what I do sounds ridiculous, because I'm just hitting straight chords. I'm doing these, long windmill chords. If you turn off Entwistle, what I'm doing looks ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a good point too. They did sort of make the backbone of the rhythm section into more the melodic section.
It was rather interesting. Yeah, if you go back and listen, it is crazy. I mean, Entwistle was a great bassist, but Moon was so all over the place. I mean, he wasn't necessarily out of time. Don't get me wrong, but what he was doing was so different than what anybody else was doing at the time.
Yeah, a lot of times what he was doing, normally with drummers we say about every 8 bars you can play one drum fill for one bar.
Yeah, but he was all filled, right?
Whereas I think Keith Moon was of the opinion that every bar should have a drum fill in it.
Yeah, but he was always playing something.
He was everywhere. An amazing drummer. There's no doubt about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
He was not just about keeping time. He was about pushing the song forward. Big energy, lots of builds, lots of texture. Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
I remember there was a lot of criticism of Kenny Jones, who took over for Keith Moon after Keith Moon died. Said Kenny Jones wasn't as good. No, Kenny Jones was as good. He just wasn't the same kind of drummer. Kenny Jones, people want to act like Kenny Jones came out of nowhere, and he came from the Small Faces, the Faces. So he was a drummer who'd been around. And when he joined the Who, but people talked about him not being as good. Well, he was good. He was just a different kind of drummer.
Yeah, every drummer has a style that they like. Again, anybody who knows anything about Neil Peart, they know he's very famous for some iconic styles that he plays. Same thing with Iron Maiden, Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden.
See, he was, yeah. So that's a metal drummer who did things a little bit different too, right?
Which one? Sorry?
Nico. He was, as a metal drummer, he was a little bit different than your typical metal drummer, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. He was, I would say, I wouldn't really call him progressive rock, but there was definitely some elements of progressive.
Yeah, there was something else there. He wasn't just,
Yeah, he was kind of his own style. He and the bassist, Harris.
Steve Harris.
Yeah, they would just they had this galumphing, kind of sounded like a horse galloping along in a lot of
they were almost like the Entwistle Joe or Entwistle Moon of their time.
Yeah.
Or their style, because they're both Steve Harris. Steve Harris's bass lines were just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he was amazing live. I got to see Maiden twice, and live, though, I mean, he was just insane.
Well, you've got the advantage on me. I've never gotten to see Maiden live, so.
Well, I'm a lot older than you.
I think they're still out there. Yeah, about the time I was into all that stuff, I was in high school. I didn't have any money. And
yeah, I get that. Yeah. Well, concerts are different back then, So I grew up in Southern California, and it was before the internet, or before the internet had influence over concert sales. So what we would do is we would actually go to the venue that was selling the tickets. So, for instance, we would go to the Long Beach Convention Center, just sit in the parking lot overnight, get in line, and they would give you a draw. And that draw would depend on where you actually stood in the line. Where you're in the line didn't necessarily dictate where you were. So they would draw your number, you get up, and you'd be able to buy tickets. Now, they usually had a limit of 6 tickets per person, so you could buy that many tickets. Now, what the crafty folks would do at the time, the ticket masters and everybody else, since they couldn't get online and buy everything up like they do now, is they would try to buy your tickets. They would give you X amount of money to have your number. If you had a better number than they did, they would say, I'll pay you this to swap numbers with you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, crafty people still do that today, I know. They're there for a while. I know there's certain types like Harley Davidsons that people wanted really badly, and they just didn't have that many. You'd have a number system, and you'd get so far down the line, and then some of those guys would just make their money they'd get down from like number 300 all the way down to number 40 or something, and they'd sell that to somebody else, get their spot in line, and then they just do that over and over again, and make a couple $1,000s each time, because there are people who pay for that, and so that.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say, I mean, but it was a little bit different back then. I think I was telling you the other day, my first Rush concert was Moving Pictures. We paid $9 for the tickets.
Mm.
My first arena show was in '82. The bands were, and in this order, even though the order sounds rather bizarre, was Iron Maiden, Scorpions, Loverboy, and Foreigner. It was $15. Of course,
Man,
$15, then is a lot different than $15 now. But
yeah, you can't even get a parking space for $15 usually. It's crazy, man.
I
I
mean,
think.
we were hustling. We were hustling. We were making whatever money we could to get these concert tickets.
Oh yeah. Well, but like you said, you could probably go work for a couple hours or do something, and you could come up with $9 pretty fast. Nowadays you practically have to pay 2 or 3 days' salary just to get a decent seat. It's crazy.
Well, see, that's crazy. You and I were talking about that too. So now with the internet, these ticket agencies have the ability to buy up all the tickets and then sell them secondary to you. Right? It is very hard to buy directly from the venue anymore.
This is true. Yeah, you go to Ticketmaster all the time for pretty much anything. So it is what it is, I guess. You either have to do that or figure out a way to get there yourself and buy them. So
Well, I've kind of got to where I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm not doing any large arena shows anymore. Because I refuse to pay that kind of money. But a show just came up recently, Uriah Heep and Saxon at the Galois. Now, my son was a big fan of '70s and '80s rock/metal, and he liked both of these bands. And when I saw that pop up, but it popped up where the show is actually on my birthday this year. So I'll turn 59 on that. So it felt like something it almost felt like a moral imperative, right? It felt like something my son would definitely want to go to.
yeah.
So when I asked my wife, I said, "You mind if I get the tickets?" She says, "I said, do you want to go?" She said, "Is it rock?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "No, I don't want to go, but you can." No, I'm not going there. But so anyway, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. Is I bought tickets to a rock show. I spent a little more than I should, but the tickets really weren't bad, and I was able to buy directly from the venue, getting first shot at it.
Yeah, I think Galois is good about that. It's nice that they're a local venue, that they're very tied into the history of the downtown area, and they kind of reject that. I don't know what you call it. It's not really scalping, but like you said, when Ticketmaster buys everything up, they don't want the big guys getting it. They want the local people to be able to go to the show and not just have to warm the house again. Do you mind me asking what you paid for those tickets?
Yeah. So the floor seat with tax was under 60.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
I'm about 3 rows, no, about 4 rows back, I should say. It was with tax, it was under 60.
That's good. Yeah, that's reasonable. See, I could do that. I could lay out $60 any day for a good live show like that.
And if I was a little smarter, if I was a little more tech savvy, I could have got a better seat because they open it up, but only to it says only to vendors or whatever, but you have to have a code, and I couldn't figure out what the code was, so I had to go to both bands' websites or Facebook pages, and I finally figured out what that code was, but it took me longer than it took me about an hour or so to figure out what that code was. If I could have figured it out in about 10 minutes, I could have got a slightly better seat, but what I have is pretty good.
Yeah, you can't be too upset about 4 rows back. That's pretty good. Well, cool. You'll have to tell me how that comes out. I hadn't heard the name Uriah Heep until you mentioned it. I think it was yesterday we talked about that a little.
Yeah, I've been starting to play some at the pub. So yeah, so the songs are known for the most part. There's two that they're known radio friendly tunes are "Stealing" and "Easy Living."
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here trying to think of it in my head.
It'll come to you later, but anyway.
It's been a while since I've heard that name, so yeah.
But I want to go back to you and talk about more of your influences. So so Neil Peart, but I also know you have a lot of punk influences as well.
Yeah. Okay. So just listening to stuff like the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. Shoot, I'm not even sure I could tell you too many more. The Dead Kennedys.
Oh yeah.
Kind of
Jello Biafra, the great Jello Biafra.
Yeah, and then a little bit of thrash punk, which anymore there's like 50 different varieties of punk. So a little bit of ska in there too.
Okay, gotcha. So any ska, any particular band influences there?
I mean, okay, fine. I confess I like Sublime. Okay, I know there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, Sublime, they're sellout," whatever. I'm like, whatever. They're a pretty tight band, and I like them a lot. Shoot,
You,
I
like-
kind
you
of
like the specials?
say again.
The specials?
Specials, not familiar with.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, there wasn't a whole lot of that back then, but because it was weird. I started pretty soon after my first year or two. I started going back into the classic rock type stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Driven by Rush, so of course there was Zeppelin and John Bonham. Uh, oh gosh,
Are you a Yes fan at all?
Yes is good.
Bill,
Foreigner,
Bill Bruford?
yeah. White Snake. I think it was Greg Bissonette was playing with them for a while. Liked him a lot. Tommy Aldridge.
Really? So you're familiar with Greg Bissonette?
Oh yeah. Oh, he was one of the best. It's one of the few drum videos I actually watched where they sat there for like an hour and just did nothing but break down some of their more standard grooves.
So I've got a little story, just a little one. It's not a good one, but it's a little story. I will never say Greg Bissonette and I were friends, but we did meet. So he was actually dating a girl about 2 houses across the street from where I live. And my brother was a good friends with her sister. So we actually got to meet before he was really huge.
Oh, nice.
He was kind of known more as a session drummer at the time, or studio drummer. But then it was just about that time he was started playing with David Lee Roth, and he actually got us tickets to see a show called the All Star Jam. Some friends, he gave us 4 tickets to go see the show called the All Star Jam that had Chuck Berry and it just, I mean, everybody had Phil Chin from the Rod Stewart band, just a lot of guest stars. It was a great show.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Phil Collins, liked him a lot.
Oh,
Genesis.
Josh. So Josh from our pub mentioned a comment. So I want to post that up real quick. He says, I have a new beer to try from Saugatuck Brewery. It's a blueberry maple stout. That sounds interesting.
Wow, that sounds really awesome. Try it.
But going back to that, it is amazing the people we've met through this one particular watering hole, isn't it?
That is, yeah. What are the odds of all that? But that was Josh, you said?
Josh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to ask him about that sometime. He's never mentioned that to me before. So cool. Maybe I'll see him tonight. I think Chris May is playing over there tonight. So
No, it's I think it's Michelle, right?
is it Michelle?
I think so. Let me double check.
You may be right. You're there more than me, so you may know that answer.
Well, I don't always get the memos. Let me double check. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Michelle.
Man, we don't want to put out wrong information for sure.
No, you're right. It's Chris May. I was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody had mentioned Michelle was playing, so I thought it was no. It's Chris May. Chris May, man, that dude is amazing.
Yeah, he is. I got to play with him one time over there.
Did you really? Oh man,
it was cool. Hey,
so first time I heard him, I was working at Bander and I was busy doing my thing, and I heard this voice, and as soon as I got not busy, I went over and looked around and said, "Oh my God, that dude can sing."
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. I like the fact that he brings his students out sometimes too, and
yeah, he does. Yeah,
and
he's a very personable guy too. He talks to everybody and he takes requests.
Yeah, he's super friendly. So, what'd you switch there to? That's a different looking glass.
So I did. I became an Irish alcoholic and switched to beer on you.
Oh, well, that's.
But I wanted to stay with the same theme, right? So I used the Tiaki Da Hinterland. So the beer I have is Springfield Brewing Company because they're sister companies.
Right.
The old standard barley wine that's aged in port and sherry barrels.
Okay. Oh, nice. The old standard. I don't think I've had that one yet.
Oh, it's really good. I'll save a can for you.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll bring you a can of the. I don't think you've got any more of the Bonbon, do you?
Yeah, I bought a case. I've got about. I think I've got 4 packs left.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were running out. So, well, okay. I'll bring you something.
Bonbon, I'm good. Yeah.
I'll bring you something else. I've got several tall cans in the back again that are just.
No, but if you have any of the older stuff, if you've got like that 3-barrel Zari Night Lab.
No, I drank all that stuff down. That was just too good to let that
I
sit.
was I was really bummed they didn't do that one again. I love that one.
I know they used to have 3 variants, and now they're down to 1. It's
Well, they
kind of
did three, then two. Now they just did the bonbon this year. I was really bummed out.
yep, yep. I was sad to see the other ones go. They were really good. They used to have
The
one that
vanilla, I love the vanilla one, but that three barrel was just gorgeous, man.
yeah, that's pretty sad. All right, I'm gonna set this glass aside, so it's time for me to mix
Okay,
up.
so what are you drinking next, Sid? Talk
All right,
about
I'll go ahead and smoke that cocktail here. So let me grab something just real quick.
it.
I can still talk. I'll do some Evan Williams bottled in bond. That's a good, real good mixing whiskey.
It is. We've talked about that. That bottled and bond runs what just a hair under 20 a bottle.
Yeah, it's the bad thing is it's so good. It's finally starting to get popular. People are finding out about it, how good it
Yeah.
is.
It's really the almost the best value in bourbon.
I think you're right about that because it's just it
Is
mixes
it-
well, it sips well, and for under $20, I mean, I could get this. I got this bottle at Walmart, I think, for $17.
Yeah, I mean
Sure.
it's a great cocktail whiskey, but it's good enough to drink neat.
Exactly. Yeah, it's perfect. I do let mine sit just a little bit typically, but you don't have to. It's not harsh. So,
No, not by any means.
all right, let me make sure I've got my one last little ingredient here, and I think I'm ready to go. Of course, I'm making a mess here. I should have been better prepared, but
Oh no, if you were better prepared, it wouldn't be this show.
oh, there we go.
We're all about this is a warts and all kind of show.
Warts and all.
Warts and all, yeah. We're all about transparency and honesty here.
Here's Sid's famous homemade turbinado sugar.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
Yes. So, all right. So the way I do my old fashions is, first of all, you got your. I use Collins cherries, which are similar to your Luxardo cherry, but they cost as much. And in my opinion, I really can't notice the taste difference.
No, you can't. See, I buy the Collins too. I mean, they run $10 a jar as opposed to 25.
Exactly. And they taste, like I said, for what I do with them, they taste just as good. So,
Yeah, you just need a dark. Just never drop a bright red cherry in there.
got to fish out. I fish one out and throw that on the bottom.
There you go.
Then I forgot this tool here. I take a muddler and I muddle that cherry up.
Muddle that baby up. There you go.
That way you get plenty of good flavor. Once again, some people I know measure, but I don't.
Well, I didn't used to. I'll be honest with you. At your age, I never measured anything. As I've gotten older, I've learned I need to measure things, so I know exactly how much I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Jackie, so I don't know if you watched many of my shows.
A handful, yeah.
So Jackie Brown has done a handful of cocktail shows with me. I want to post her comments. She says, "Cheers, y'all." She's a
Hey, Jackie.
semi-pro cocktailer, but she's got. We did I think we did 3 holiday cocktail shows together.
Oh, nice. Well, sorry if I mess anything up, Jackie, but anyway. So anyway, I pour in just a little. Now I don't like mine super sweet, so I usually go about half the sugar that most people put in.
Gotcha.
I just don't like mine too sweet. You got your bitters here, of course. A few dashes there. Now at this point, I'm getting pretty close to doing something interesting. Then, depending on the fact that I have, a gig tonight that I have to be somewhat sober for, and I know we talked about.
You got a couple hours to sober up.
For now, I'm just going to do a 2-ounce pour of the bourbon. Then I will take my little tongs here, and avail myself of this nice.
Oh, Jackie says, "Hey, Sid."
Hey, what's up? All right, so now that's done. Now I'm going to adjust my camera here just a little bit so you can see the actual process of smoking the cocktail. So I'll be a little bit offside here. Let me make sure I get that camera adjusted just right. Okay, there we go. Boy, that thing is really close by. All right, perfect. Now I have this cool little thing I'll show you just in a second here, but first of all, let's get the smoker set up.
All right, let's see what we got here.
So get rid of my ash from the last smoke so we can put our little inverted on there.
She says, "Sid is fancy with his ice ball."
I will go with the hickory since that's what we did last time. That worked out so well. Just a scoop of chips there. And then there's not much else to it. I'm gonna do something here that if you have a few extra bucks burning a hole in your pocket, these little discs are cool. So if you look now, you can kind of see, I don't know if the camera is going to show that or not. Yeah, probably have too much light going on, but anyway, it's got a little glowy thing on it.
Oh yeah, how about that? Yeah.
Anyway, let me turn off a light real quick because it kind of looks really cool. Still not showing up very good. I'll try to turn off one more light here. Sorry, Tom.
That's okay.
Very professional here. That come through any better?
Yeah, yeah, you can see it now. Yeah.
Let me see. Look. Anyway, so we go ahead and flame it up here. And hopefully we'll be able to see that smoke just start to roll down inside the glass.
Well, see, now that you've fired that flame up, you really see the lights flashing there.
That's good. Okay, I can see the smoke starting to come down.
There you go. Oh, yeah, there it is. We see it.
I flame that up real good.
Jackie says it's perfect, Sid.
And then I go ahead and just cap that boy up. Let that smoke sit for, it depends on how smoky you like it. I usually let mine sit for about 30. So, but it'll look really beautiful here in just a minute when I pop that lid off to add the garnish and the final cherry, which I'm going to dig up here real quick while that thing's finishing off. That way you don't have to watch me dig for cherries again. So it's about finished. Go ahead and pop this lid off and see if the smoke comes out. A little bit. Anyway, then I plunk another cherry in there on a spike.
There you go. Look at you.
With, if I can get this out of here, and finish with a dehydrated orange. So,
there you go.
Which is the old, the smoked old fashioned. So I will turn this back around and take a sip and see if it's any good. And if not, I'll bring it to you later at Banter and you can drink. Okay, there we go.
Well, it looks really good, man. I love that extra smoke.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's just perfect. So sometimes I get a little too aggressive with the bitters sometimes. So I always have to remember, not too much. Now, do you use the syrup from your cherries to ever sweeten your drink? I do sometimes, but not today.
I do. I use a little bit, yeah.
I don't want too much sugar in there, so, and I went a little heavy with the turbinado, so figured that's, you know, I'll save it for another day.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Now, what's fun about the smoke? I've seen smoked cocktails done several different ways. The way I do it, which is you smoke the drink itself, but some people smoke the glass and then put the stuff in it. That's a much subtler smoke. I hardly taste any, but it's more the aroma.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
You've never tried that.
Or you can. I've seen smoked ice at places as well.
Yeah, smoked ice. Yeah.
I've made it at home upon occasion. Yeah,
that's what's cool about these little things is you can smoke anything. You just take some kind of a glass. I've smoked goldfish crackers with it.
Really? How did that work?
Yeah, it's good.
It takes the smoke.
It tastes like smoke, like a Gouda or something like that.
So it did take the smoke, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, you don't want to go overboard with it because it will. It will get overboard
funny.
if you're not careful. Anyway, so is the lighting okay still? I noticed that it's a lot dimmer on my end.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll just leave it that way because it was kind of bright earlier. Anyway.
No, we still see it kind of bright. You're good.
Yep. Now, like you were saying earlier, Tom, I don't like my drinks to water down, and I don't usually let them last very long. But I've noticed with these ice spheres, they can sit there forever almost. And
the globes and the big square cubes are good, but I'm just not a fan of ice in my cocktails. That's why I usually serve them straight up, meaning I chilled them first and then I pour it in the glass. But like I said, a Manhattan is almost always served straight up. An old fashioned is almost always served on the rocks, but I tend to serve mine straight up.
Yeah, I like your idea, and if I had thought about that in advance, I would have prepped that. But I'll tell you what, I will try that next time, so that way I don't have to use that. I'll just have to pick my whiskey in advance, though, because I never. What I need to do is put about 4 or 5 bottles in the freezer.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Sid, I didn't figure out my cocktail till after we set up the video. So I mean, I was just putting it together kind of on the fly as well.
Well, yeah, I knew you were going to make something, but like man, that's pretty impressive that you're going to run a podcast and make a drink. That's pretty, showing some skills there, my man.
Well, the problem is they're not marketable skills. I'm basically a one-trick pony.
Not
There's certain things I do well, and I can't figure out how to market them.
Not everything in the world has to be marketed, though. Some things are just for fun, right? Some things are just for fun, like this: drinking with a buddy in an afternoon on.
There you go.
What money does this make? It's about being social and having fun.
You got time to take a nap, take a power nap, rest for a little bit, sober up, and then go to your thing this evening.
Yeah, call time's at 5 o'clock, gigs at 6, should be done now there by 7:30. So yeah.
Jackie says, "What, smoked goldfish?"
Yeah, it's good. If you like smoked cheese, you'll like smoked goldfish, I think. Just
Jackie,
maybe
in case you missed it, I'm pretty sure he's talking about crackers, not actual goldfish.
this is true.
I want to make that clear.
Goldfish crackers. Yes.
It's not a frat party where we're swallowing goldfish now.
Like the little cheese, or whatever.
Anyway.
But yeah. Now here's a question I have for you, Tom. So I think you used one of these oranges earlier, didn't you?
Yeah.
Candied oranges or dried oranges or whatever you call them. Do you eat it or not?
Well, I don't usually know.
Okay. Now, do you use the dehydrated form, or is that just a straight up orange slice?
No, it's dehydrated.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, this one is a candied orange.
Candied orange. Okay. Yeah. I've heard it both ways. Some people say, "Oh yeah, you got to eat them, but you let them sit in the drink." And
you can. I don't typically, but a lot of times I won't. So okay, I'll tell you one thing I do that most people don't is because there's a lot of sugar on these things, and they will dissolve in the cocktail. Mm-hmm. So I will take this orange after this drink, and I will put it away. I'll put it in some plastic, or put it in a baggie, put it in the freezer, and I will use it for the next cocktail.
Well, that's a good idea. I like that. Yeah. For me, it's more just about I know an old fashioned does sometimes have an orange squeezed into it or a wedge.
Or sometimes it's an orange peel.
Yeah, I can take that or leave that. Orange to me is not that important in an old fashioned. It's fine if it's there. I don't care if it's not. For me, it's more about the appearance. It's kind of an aesthetic. I just like the look.
It is. Yeah, it is really more about the aesthetic. Yeah.
Like, you could just throw the cherry in the thing, but I like to put it on a metal spike. So that way it can kind of.
I just chuck it in the bottom because for me, the cherry does no good sitting on top of the drink. It's got to be inside. So I just chuck it to the bottom.
Well, that's why I have my muddled one that's already in there.
And that makes sense too. But yeah, I just throw it in the bottom. Hey, I want to mention a comment here from our buddy Josh. He says, I've done smoked bagel bites. They're amazing. That sounds interesting. I've never tried that.
I like that idea.
I've smoked a lot of things, but never a bagel bite. That sounds pretty good.
Have to give it a shot.
You never know till you try, right?
Here in town, we have a Panera Bread company, and they have those Asiago cheese bagels. Now he's making me want to smoke an Asiago cheese bagel.
Oh, see, those are my absolute favorite from them. I love those Asiago. See, now, oh man, we got to try that now.
Just have
those are my favorite. I love those Asiago cheese bagels.
I don't know what it would fit into for my smoker. Like, I've seen some smokers where they have a big glass bowl that comes with it that you can put on top of it, and the smoker hat goes on.
You might have to slice them into bites, like bagel chips.
Bagel bites, like you said, yeah, bagel bites. So cool. Now, is that Josh from Banter Josh, or is this another?
Yeah, Banter Josh, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's his last name, Josh Edison. Hi, Josh. I couldn't. Your screen is real small for me, so I have to look closely to see what it says. Oh, anyway.
So Josh says that would be amazing. Do a homemade pizza. There you go. That sounds great. And then on the Asiago bagel, that's what he's saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like a mini.
See, now we got to do that. Now it's a moral imperative, Sid. We got to do an Asiago bagel pizza.
I think I'm gonna have to put that in
a smoked Asiago bagel pizza.
Exactly. Speaking of smoked pizzas, have you ever done a pizza on a charcoal grill before?
Say what?
Have you ever cooked a pizza on a charcoal grill before?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way I'll do them anymore. Ever since I got a Kamado grill, just like, man, everything goes on that. And pizza, I almost can't stand regular pizza anymore without that smoke flavor. Just
It is
love it.
nice having that fire. Yeah, I will say though, my wife isn't a big a fan of the fire as I am. So
Okay. Well, you got to cook to please, right? So,
yeah, for me, there you could never have too much smoke, but for
mhm.
others, it seems there is too much smoke.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
fun.
everything smoked.
Yep, yep, definitely. Well, so Tom, you've talked a little bit about my music and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
You told me you used to be a singer
No, no, I was never really a singer. I would
in a choir, right?
choir. Yes, I did sing in a choir many years ago. I sang in my junior college choir, but I sang in my church choir briefly. And I say briefly because I started singing in the choir right at the beginning of 2020, and
Oh,
then March came, and then I was done.
oh well. Yeah.
But it was nice for that short period of time because they were a great bunch. Uh, my 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 vocal abilities are limited, so they were very kind to what I was able to do. So it was very nice.
Well, I was going to ask you if you ever did sing, what your favorite type of music to sing is, since I
In
don't think.
all honesty, my favorite type of music to sing, and it's kind of changed over the years. In all honesty, as my vocal range has changed over the years, and what I'm able to sing is, as I've gotten older, my of course, we kind of joke that high notes are a young man's game. Your voice gets deeper as you get older, and due to a lot of scarring, I've got that kind of that blues kind of rasp in my voice now, so I can do a lot of scratchy stuff, right? I'm not
Mhm.
familiar. I don't know if you're familiar with a band called Lucero, but that band I like to sing along to, or Ray Wiley Hubbard, because they've got that same kind of scratch that I've got in my voice.
Nice. Okay. I'm not familiar with that
Anything
band.
with a rasp, I guess. Yeah.
I know the kind of stuff you're talking about. So, do you ever sing any AC/DC? You know, some classic.
Yeah. So there's a couple tunes I think if we were to go out to a karaoke night, for instance, I think I could do "Have a Drink on Me" rather well.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's a great song, and especially for karaoke. That's perfect.
That's a great karaoke. Yeah.
It is. It is. It is.
So I know you're a drummer, but do you do any singing as well?
If I'm forced to, I will. So I grew up in a Lutheran church, and Lutheran churches are known as the singing churches. So it's not uncommon to hear four-part harmony in there. Everyone in my family was a great musician and singer, except me. So I learned how to play drums because I
Okay.
what I call real music, meaning notes that go up and down. But you pick up certain things, you know. So I
But you
learned,
found your wheelhouse then.
yeah, I learned some basic harmonization, and I don't know, my range is just really limited. So I'm like sort of in the middle where I can't hit the high notes, but I can't really hit the low stuff either. So I'm kind of like a baritone slash second tenor type of guy. So anyway, and there's
And
not a lot.
when I was singing in the choir, I was more that baritone sound. But the truth is, my voice is very raspy, so I've got kind of that big kind of blues rasp going on.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't ask you to sing any grunge since I know you don't like grunge.
I don't. I really don't. I think Nirvana is possibly the most overrated band in history, and I've never been a fan of Cobain.
It was a product of the time when I was growing up, so I guess I have a soft spot for it. But you're right, I don't listen to it much anymore, hardly. Now, like Foo Fighters, what do you think about that?
Okay, so I've got a kind of a mixed opinion. I didn't like them initially, but as I've listened to them recently, I don't mind them as much, and I think a lot of that is because of the work that he has done. I mean, he's done a lot of charitable work that impresses me, so it kind of made me go back and revisit some of his work, and maybe because I think I do like the person he is, I like the music better.
Nice. Yeah, I've always been enamored of David Grohl. I'm like, how in the world did he ever end up in a band like Nirvana, where he really didn't get much of a chance to show his talent, either as a
He goes
guitarist or
from a drummer to yeah.
yeah, and kind of a very middle of the road drummer too. I mean, he was never allowed to shine a whole lot.
No, not really. No.
So it was all
And somehow he's became kind of the star, right?
yeah. I mean, he is the Foo Fighters. Let's face it. It's it's his band that plays for him pretty much, but he's I guess humble enough not to put his name out there on the lead. So, But I did hear one time he did not like the recording of the drums on
Mhm.
their album, and so he came in right after they laid down on the tracks and replayed all the drum parts himself. And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
That is impressive. Yeah. Well, I guess that's that. Shows
Just,
what type of person he is, right?
I know. He's a man of many talents. And he sings too. So it's like, wow, that guy is a true musician. So I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, you can go back. So we talked about progressive rock. We talked about punk. Uh,
That's what you do with the cherry, Tom.
is that what
You,
you do with the cherries? See, I'm not. See, here's my thing. Here's my thing. I don't like cherries. I don't like them. So for me, it's all about just being a garnish. I just chuck it in the bottom of the drink, and I never think about it again.
Fair enough.
And
Then don't.
sometimes I'll use that same cherry for like 3 or 4 cocktails. I'll freeze it so then it gets my drink cold. It's like a cherry ice cube at the bottom of my cocktail.
I like how you recycle your garnishes. That's actually a really good idea. Especially if you're not going to eat.
That comes from growing up poor, Sid. You learn to recycle everything.
Well, I didn't have garnishes when I grew up, so
That's right.
I'm messing with
I mean,
you.
I always keep rice and dried beans at the house because you never know when things are going to go south.
Yes, this is true. This
And
is
when
true.
everybody was panicking in March of 2020, we had stuff already. So we didn't have to do that mad shopping because I already had stuff here. We had rice. We had dried beans. So we weren't going to starve.
Rice and beans, man. That's Dave Ramsey food right there. Are you familiar with Dave Ramsey?
No.
Okay, financial guru guy, get out of debt guy. Anyway, one of his famous lines is, when you're getting out of debt, you eat beans and rice, rice and beans.
Gotcha.
Which, if you know how to cook, that's not a problem. You can make some really good beans and rice.
Oh, yeah. You can always do something with them, yeah.
Yeah, make it Cajun style, man. Do some red beans and rice.
I love red beans and rice, yeah.
That's good stuff.
Gotta have a good sausage, though.
Oh, yeah. Gotta have that. Maybe a little shrimp if you can, afford a little. So, I don't know. Don't eat much shrimp at home. Just don't. Nobody else in the house really likes it except for me.
Oh, really? they're not crustacean eaters, huh?
Well, she loves lobster, of course.
Okay. But not shrimp.
She's okay with shrimp, but she's never gonna be like, oh, let's have shrimp. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. And for paying how much you pay for it, I just can't justify spending all that money for an okay meal that she doesn't really.
That's true, yeah. I understand that, yeah.
We try to stick with, crowd pleasers like fillets and, brisket and stuff like that. So.
Well, what's irritating to me about brisket is brisket used to be a cheap meat, and now it's higher than hell.
Oh, it was throwaway meat.
It was hamburger meat.
Yep.
Nobody cared about brisket. That's what we ground up to make hamburger, but now it's expensive. The same way with chicken wings. Chicken wings was a throwaway. You could almost get them free at the butcher shop way back when.
Yep. And
but now chicken wings cost more than chicken thighs.
I blame Buffalo Wild Wings. It's there. I blame them.
Well, it was the Anchor Bar that first came up with the thing, so I guess we have to blame them. But why are people paying so much for chicken wings?
Because they can charge it and people will pay it. So
that's true. Because it's it feels like a good meal upon occasion, I guess. But hell, man, you can buy chicken thighs for almost half the price anymore.
This is true. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. For chicken wings, I can hardly stomach paying what they want to charge for them anymore.
I know, it's terrible. I'd only buy them when I can get them on sale. Yeah.
Now,
if you get them marked down at Sam's, get that 3-packet Sam's or 4-packet Sam's, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could always go for the slightly upgraded version, go for turkey wings, which you smoke those things up.
Oh, those turkey wings are, yeah. See, that's nice too. Yeah.
Those are extreme.
You got a serious wing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I first had those up in, I think it was in St. Louis. Yeah, I was at St. Louis. We went to Schlafly Bottle Works plant up there, and they have a restaurant attached to that. It's their flag. It's where they brew all their flagship beers, their big sellers. Stuff like I don't know. Well, just all their flagships. And the first time I was there, they had smoked turkey wings.
Oh,
it comes up with 6 turkey wings.
That's nice.
I ate 2 of them and was stuffed. They're
So
awesome.
Josh says Coyotes, and Nick says all you can eat on Tuesday for 15 chicken wings.
Oh
And
boy.
then a friend of mine, Jersey Johnny, says Happy New Year. So thanks, Jersey Johnny. Appreciate it, man.
I gotta say, all you can eat wings. I think I would hurt myself. I would hurt.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is, you think $15 for wings sounds expensive, but
Well, not really.
they're not cheap per pound anymore if you're making them at home.
No, and a lot of times you go to places and you'll pay $12. It used to be it was like $1 a wing.
And
Anyway,
you get 6 wings for $12 or 6 pieces, rather.
maybe 8 if you're lucky. You get 8. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll have to try out.
It's gotten expensive, man.
Maybe I'll have to try out the all-you-can-eat wings and just not eat for the entire day. Except
Because the truth is, it's not really about the wing; it's about the sauce.
Yep, this is true.
Or the seasoning if you do a dry rub. But it's not necessarily about the wing itself. It's about the seasoning. It's the seasoning or the sauce.
Yeah, as long as you get it fried up nice and crispy, the sauce is what makes it or breaks it.
So blue cheese or ranch for you?
Oh, blue cheese, man, all the way.
It's got to be blue cheese. I agree. Yeah, that's the traditional. They originally served blue cheese. It's the blue cheese that cuts the spice.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be chunky blue cheese.
Yeah.
Big little chunks. I'm not chewing it.
Got to be the blue cheese.
Yeah, you can't buy the Hidden Valley Ranch variety. It's got to be something.
So Jersey Johnny says, I remember way back when bars charged 10 cents a wing.
Oh my gosh, 10-cent wings.
I do remember those days too, actually. So I'm going to say I remember 25 cents for a whole wing. There was a bar in South Dakota my dad used to go to when we vacationed out there. It'd be 25 cents, but it wasn't wing parts. It was a whole actual wing.
Yeah. I remember quarter wings back when I was in college, I think. You could go to bars and get quarter wings. And there for a while, somebody had 50-cent wing night, but I think that's gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a lot of places used to do a 50-cent night, but nobody does anymore. Yeah. Well, Buffalo Wild Wings used to way back when, but their quality has gone down. The size of the wings have gone down. They're like using miniature chickens. I think they're using pigeons in there because they're like this big.
Kind of shrinkflation.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure they're using chickens. They might be using squab or some shit in there.
Squab.
Oh, mercy, Percy. Anyway, I want to thank Sid for joining. Sid, any parting shots? Anything you want to say as we end this?
Oh, just thanks for having me on, man. This was a fun way to spend a part of an afternoon. And like you said, I think I might go take a nap and just
time to relax. There you go. Yeah, well, I'd like to talk some cocktails, beer, and music with you. So it was nice. I appreciate you joining me here.
Always a pleasure, Tom. And I will see you behind the bar, hopefully soon.
So Jersey Johnny mentions one more comment here. He says, try this. Blue cheese mixed with peppercorn ranch.
Ooh, that does sound good.
We'll give that a shot. Anyway, I want to thank Sid. I'm Tom the Beer and Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, prepare wisdom, all-around good guy. Hey, Sid, don't jump off right away. I want to have a quick chat with you. All-around good guy. Thanks, guys, for joining in.